Picture this for a moment. You're watching One Piece for the first time, and you've just witnessed Luffy recruit his ragtag crew of misfits. There's the three-sword-wielding pirate hunter who dreams of becoming the world's greatest swordsman, the cat burglar with a tragic past who navigates the seas, the cowardly sniper who spins tall tales but dreams of becoming a brave warrior. Now fast forward to today's One Piece. That same crew you fell in love with often feels like background decoration in their own story. The emotional stakes that once drove every arc have been replaced by political machinations and mythological reveals. The intimate crew dynamics that made you care about these characters in the first place have been diluted by constant separations and an ever-expanding cast of allies who demand screen time. Something fundamental shifted after the 2-year time skip, and it's time we talked about it. By the way, if you like these kinds of breakdowns, consider subscribing. I do these every week, and that way you won't miss the next one. The most glaring issue is how character development has essentially flatlined for most crew members. Before the time skip, each Straw Hat underwent profound personal growth that felt organic and meaningful. Zoro evolved from a glory-seeking bounty hunter, willing to kill Luffy for interfering with his ambitions, to someone who would sacrifice everything for his captain. Usopp transformed from a pathological liar into someone who could stand up to impossible odds for his friends. Robin went from a woman haunted by her tragic past to someone who finally found a family worth living for. But after the time skip, this character evolution ground to a halt. Instead of continued growth, complex personalities were reduced to their most basic traits and cranked up to 11. Sanji went from a chivalrous cook with genuine respect for women to a walking nosebleed gag in Fishman Island, whose romantic nature became a liability to the crew and got buried under repetitive comedy that often felt embarrassing rather than endearing. Usopp's regression might be the most heartbreaking example of this phenomenon. By the end of the pre-time skip era, he had genuinely started shedding his cowardice and seemed poised to become the brave warrior of the sea he always dreamed of being. His moments of courage at Enies Lobby and his growth throughout Thriller Bark suggested a character arc nearing its triumphant conclusion. Instead, the time skip reset him back to square one. Even during the Wano arc, which lasted 149 chapters and represented the longest arc in the series, Usopp had no significant fights, no character development moments, and contributed virtually nothing to the plot. For a character whose dream is to become a brave warrior, this represents a stunning narrative failure. The tragedy of Chopper might be even worse. Once beloved as both comic relief and a surprisingly fierce fighter, Chopper has been reduced to little more than a walking mascot. His Monster Point transformation, which used to represent uncontrollable power and dramatic tension, became tame to the point of blandness after the time skip. While gaining control over it showed technical progress, it ironically removed the emotional stakes that made his battles thrilling. Even more damning is the fact that Chopper hasn't had a meaningful one-on-one fight since Fishman Island. Scenes like the one where he joined Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji in violently confronting the Frankie family now seem unthinkable. His charisma has evaporated, leaving behind a character whose primary function appears to be selling merchandise. Nico Robin's stagnation represents another missed opportunity. After her incredible character development culminating at Enies Lobby, she has remained largely static. Her role has been reduced primarily to reading poneglyphs and providing exposition. During the 102-chapter Dressrosa arc, Robin had no significant fights, no major plot contributions, and spent most of her time relegated to fan service moments and minor support roles. While she did get her moment to shine in Wano, her complex character has largely been stripped down to a plot device who smiles mysteriously and delivers historical information. Even Zoro, who remains one of the more prominent crew members, has lost much of his pre-time skip complexity. His character has narrowed to focus almost entirely on his loyalty to Luffy and his straightforward pursuit of strength. The dry humour, emotional range, and character growth that defined his earlier portrayal have been replaced by a more one-dimensional, cool guy persona. His interactions with other crew members have become minimal, limited primarily to his repetitive rivalry with Sanji, a dynamic that has grown stale through overuse. This character stagnation becomes even more problematic when you consider how rarely the crew stays together anymore. post-time skip. One Piece features constant crew separations that prevent meaningful character interactions and relationship development. Frankie and Luffy went approximately 6 years of real-world publication time without having a substantial conversation. Zoro and Sanji, despite their important rivalry being a cornerstone of crew dynamics, didn't interact for over 200 chapters after splitting up in Dressrosa. While this represented only about a month of in-universe time, it meant over 5 years of waiting for readers to see one of the crew's most vital relationships. This transformation becomes even more apparent when you examine fight distribution and character relevance in major arcs. In recent storylines, only Zoro and Sanji consistently receive significant combat moments and character development. The rest of the crew has been relegated to support roles or background presence, watching as new characters like the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, various alliance members, and arc-specific allies claim the spotlight that once belonged to them. The comedy itself has undergone a troubling transformation that reflects these broader character issues. Pre-time skip humour emerged naturally from character interactions and personality clashes. Post-time skip comedy has devolved into repetitive gags that feel mechanical rather than organic. Sanji's nosebleeds became so extreme they actively hindered the plot during Fishman Island. Brook's panty jokes, while occasionally amusing, lack the clever wordplay and situational comedy that made his earlier appearances memorable. Even Luffy's humour has shifted from endearingly naive observations to more slapstick physical comedy that doesn't reveal character depth. The power scaling issues have become equally problematic for crew relevance. While Zoro and Sanji continue receiving major power-ups and climactic battles that feel narratively significant, the rest of the crew has been left behind. Brook's soul-based abilities showed promise during Whole Cake Island, but this development hasn't translated into consistent combat relevance. Frankie received mechanical upgrades after the time skip, yet these improvements rarely factor into major conflicts in meaningful ways. Nami's weather manipulation abilities have expanded considerably, but she's often relegated to support roles rather than receiving showcase moments that demonstrate her growth. Her fights, when they occur, lack the personal stakes and emotional weight that characterized her earlier battles. The navigator who once stood up to Arlong's crew and fought desperately to save her village now feels disconnected from the high-stakes conflicts that define New World adventures. This power-scaling disparity creates a narrative hierarchy where only certain crew members matter when serious threats emerge. During Wano, while Zoro battled King and Sanji faced Queen in fights that pushed their abilities to new limits, other crew members either fought significantly weaker opponents or were absent from major confrontations entirely. This pattern reinforces the sense that half the crew has become expendable in terms of actual plot relevance. The ensemble cast problem reached critical mass in recent arcs. Dressrosa introduced dozens of new characters who demanded development time and emotional investment from readers. The Colosseum fighters, the Flamingos family, the Tontatas, and various resistance members all competed for attention with the Straw Hats. While some of these characters proved compelling, their inclusion came at the expense of crew development. Wano amplified this issue exponentially. The 9 Red Scabbards, the worst generation supernovas, Yamato, Momonosuke, and countless samurai allies, created a cast so bloated that individual Straw Hats could disappear for dozens of chapters without readers noticing. When every arc introduces new characters who require backstories, motivations, and resolution to their personal conflicts, the original crew gets pushed further into the background. The mythological elements surrounding Luffy have created additional distance between him and his crew. As his connection to Joy Boy, Nika, and the broader mythology of the world becomes more prominent, Luffy feels less like a regular pirate captain and more like a chosen one fulfilling ancient prophecies. This transformation, while exciting for world-building enthusiasts, fundamentally alters the crew dynamic. When the captain's role in the story becomes predetermined by ancient forces, what purpose do the other crew members serve beyond witnessing his ascension? The pacing of modern arcs exacerbates all these issues. Dressrosa's 102 chapters, Whole Cake Island's 78 chapters, and Wano's 149 chapters represent massive time investments that somehow still leave core crew members underdeveloped. These extended arcs have time for elaborate flashbacks about new characters, but struggle to find moments for meaningful Straw Hat interactions. Compare this to pre-time skip arcs like Alabasta, which managed to give every crew member significant moments and character development within a more compact structure. Water 7, despite their length, maintained focus on crew relationships, even while introducing new characters and complex political situations. The difference in priorities becomes stark when examined closely. Even when crew members do receive focus, it often serves plot advancement rather than character exploration. Chopper's medical knowledge becomes relevant during specific crisis moments, but these situations don't typically challenge him to grow or reveal new aspects of his personality. Frankie's shipwright skills prove crucial for vessel maintenance and upgrades, but these contributions feel mechanical rather than emotional. Design choices have also contributed to character decline. Frankie's post-time skip redesign exemplifies this issue perfectly. His pre-time skip appearance balanced his quirky personality with a muscular, imposing presence that allowed him to be taken seriously during dramatic moments. The post-time skip design became overly exaggerated and metallic, losing much of its original charm and making him feel more like a cartoon than a character capable of genuine emotional depth. The evidence is overwhelming. The Straw Hat Pirates have transformed from the emotional core of One Piece into supporting characters in their own adventure. What began as an intimate story about a crew chasing their dreams together has become a sprawling epic where individual crew members struggle for relevance against massive ensemble casts and world-ending conspiracies. While Oda's world-building achievements deserve recognition, they've come at the expense of the character-driven storytelling that originally made One Piece special. So that's where my head's at, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and as always, thank you for watching.